How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension. This is from 2015 and is the sixth film in the Paranormal Activity franchise. This is directed by Gregory Plotkin, who would also direct the movie Hellfest, but he's more known as a Blumhouse editor. He edited Get Out as well as Happy Death Day, but also, more relevant to this, he edited parts 2 through 5. Yeah, kind of cool, keeping it within the family, I guess. Part 5 was directed by the writer of 2 through 5, and now we're getting a movie with the editor. Okay, sure, why not? Calling it now, though, if they ever do a Paranormal Activity 8, they're probably going to have Katie Featherston direct it, because why not? Who cares? Anyway, this movie stars Chris J. Murray, Brit Shaw, and Ivy George, and this would be the last Paranormal Activity for quite some time. You had part 4 being kinda dull, part 5 being way too different, and starting us out on the too much special effects line, and now part 6 going all into that. Yeah, this movie is super goofy and weird. Like, for real, the title of the movie, The Ghost Dimension, first of all, that's super silly sounding, and I'm really surprised they went with that. Second of all, inaccurate. Ghost? Paranormal Activity is about demons. How did no one catch that? It should be the demon dimension, but whatever. This was also released in 3D, because that was really big at the time, even though a found footage movie in 3D sounds kind of weird. But also the big marketing this time around, you will see the activity. That was a mistake. I get people saying I'm tired of just watching these people sleep in their bedrooms, but that doesn't mean show us everything. I mean, we had so many people, like, since pretty early on in the franchise, complaining about getting more and more CGI, and I feel like it really crossed the line last time around, but rather than do a course correction, they just went all into it. And yeah, no, it's too much, and it keeps the tension out of the first 2 acts. You know, it's supposed to be building tension, and oh, did you see something? But when you see something, like, your brain doesn't think it's real, which was part of the strength of the first 3 movies, is they felt really realistic. But here your brain sees this and just goes, CGI creature. It's not scared of it because it doesn't believe it. Now, there is a shift. Those first 2 acts are trying to be scary, trying to be serious. You don't believe it, you're not scared. But then you get to that final act, and things go nuts. Toby's running around, big CGI creature, a ton of lore is dumped, and just wacky shenanigans ensue. Like, for real, Paranormal Activity 5, the marked ones, spoiler, ended with time travel. You think if you did another movie, you would pretend that never happened, but no, we're leaning into the time travel. In fact, not a spoiler because it was in a lot of the posters and the marketing. The trailers showed this. It's on the box right here. One of the most iconic images for this movie, and it's a cool looking visual, but the girl writes some symbols around the top of her bed, and then the walls start to crack, which if you didn't know it was coming, although everyone did, it would have been like, whoa, what's happening? The walls are cracking. And then the girl opens a time portal above her bed. Wow, this is wacky shenanigans. And the thing is, it gets so wacky, it doesn't blend in with the first 3 movies. It doesn't feel real. It you know, they reference the same lore, but it doesn't feel like the same series. And the first 2 acts aren't super wacky as they are just not scary. But when it gets wacky, it does get kind of fun. And I can appreciate it for being a cheesy, over-the-top, just have a ton of fun with it movie. And to be honest, if the whole movie was like this and if it was in its own, like if it was its own movie, it would have been like a silly, almost, like Grave Encounters kind of went nuts towards the end of it. It could be appreciated in its own way, but yeah, just calling this Paranormal Activity and seeing the differences, like watch part 1 and then watch this back to back, and boy, we've gotten so far off track. I haven't seen part 7 yet, Next of Kin. It looked like a bit of a return to form, so I'm gonna watch that soon after this. I hope it's good, but yeah, I can see why this one left us for so long. Like, I can see why this killed the franchise for a while. Anyway, though, I'm gonna talk about the plot in more specifics. I won't do any major spoilers. I just want to analyze what works and doesn't, because there is some stuff that works with this movie, but I don't have to spoil the end to do that. But let's go ahead and dig a little deeper and talk a bit about the plot. We open up with the end of Paranormal Activity 3. 3 was like the last time the franchise worked, and this will heavily tie to that. And it'll show us the end of 3, and then show us the 2 girls getting taken in by the grandmother, and they meet a man who is going to teach them about their powers. And because we're leaning all into the time travel stuff, and apparently the cult has fluid access to time travel, they're just going to tell them what they're going to be in the future. You will give birth to a chosen one, and you will guide him. Yeah, I guess so. But also, isn't the coven supposed to be all woman? What's this man doing here? I don't know. 2, though, if this man is a presumably wanted fugitive, you think in the real world version of Paranormal Activity, they would have included at least this bit at the end of the tape to, get his face out there and stop him. I'm going to do a whole video on that, like the real world of Paranormal Activity not making much sense, because, yeah, whatever. I'm just going to save that rant for another day. But anyway, we then jump to the present, and we meet our new family. Mom, Dad, little kid named Leela. I guess they're big Futurama fans. Can't blame them, that's fun. But then you have the dad's brother, who's kind of a goofy guy, and then you have the mom's friend, who is like in town for a yoga retreat or something. Whatever, they just needed another character, so she'll be a bit into spirituality. It's also Christmas time, which I really do like. It lends a unique aspect to the film, and when you get the special camera, the glowing lights will look really cool in it. And also, super jealous of that Christmas tree. The Christmas tree in this movie looks phenomenal. That being said, don't call this movie The Ghost Dimension. This should have been the Paranormal Activity Holiday Special, or A Very Paranormal Christmas. You missed an opportunity on the title there. That would have been fun. But anyway, they're digging around in their new house, and they find 2 things: a box of tapes and a camera. Let's talk about the tapes first. The tapes feature parts of Paranormal Activity 3. They don't say that they saw the ending, so I'm thinking that part of Paranormal Activity 3 was placed in this house, and part of Paranormal Activity 3 was in those boxes that they found in the marked ones. Kind of makes the continuity a little weird, but whatever, the tapes got split up, I guess. But also in these tapes are them with their teacher, and you'll get to see some cool things. Like, one thing they really highlighted in the trailer was they're teaching one of the girls to see into the future, and she sees the events of the present as they're going on while they're watching the tape. That's cool. Like, a fun little... If you're going to do time travel, this is a good idea to do it. But yeah, so they're watching the tapes, and they're saying, wait a minute, this is our house. Kind of. They find out that the Paranormal Activity 3 house burnt down, and they're saying that that was their cover-up for their parents dying. And I think they say the kids were missing, although if that was their grandmother, they could have just transferred custody to her, but whatever. The Paranormal 3 house burnt down, and they built this one in its place. For some reason, so many descriptions of this movie say a familiar house. It's a totally different looking house, like it's not the same. Although that being said, minus the hauntings, if I could pick any Paranormal Activity house to live in, it would definitely be the Part 6 house, because this house is really nice. They have a walkway around the top that looks down into this really big living room. It's pretty cool, and that's where they put the giant Christmas tree. Maybe this movie's a better house movie than it is a horror movie. Whatever. But yeah, so they built this house on top of the Paranormal Activity 3 house, so that's sort of tying them together. But anyway, that's the tapes. The other thing in the box is the magic camera. Apparently, the cult built a video camera with like extra sensors and wires. It's completely unique, and this camera can see ghosts, which is kind of silly, but also I guess spirit photography is a thing, and it's the gimmick of the movie. It's a little bit of a silly gimmick, but I don't know, it's both, it's kind of a cool idea, and I can see why they chose it, but it leads into seeing too many ghosts, and it is kind of silly, so I don't know. They find a ghost camera that the cult built. Why not? Sure. But they'll see the ghost. They'll see Toby. And again, I say ghost because this is the ghost dimension. Toby's a demon. But they see him and like he's in general like little flecks. And I get that this was like new technology. Like we can track the footage and put in a 3D object that matches the tracking. And this was in 3D, so seeing the flecks come right at you, that's kind of cool. Not the scariest thing ever, but at least it keeps him kind of low-key. But don't worry, he'll soon graduate from flex into Venom. He's all goo, and he'll turn into a goo man standing above the bed. And I really hate that after this footage is found, after the goo point, we still get characters going, maybe it's just the camera. No, that is not just the camera. But anyway, they start to suspect something's up. Eventually they'll get a priest who tries to figure it out, and things will get bigger and bigger. One thing, though, with the characters, like the jokey brother, you do get a bit of jokes and a bit of a brotherly dynamic. I wish this was fleshed out a little more, because you could see them starting to become really good dynamic characters, but it wasn't quite fleshed out all the way. And then like the blonde girl, which is kind of a soft love interest for the brother, is just at times you forget she's even in the movie, and I wish we got more work with her. But the big thing is little baby Leela. She needs discipline. I get she's a creepy kid in a horror movie, she's supposed to do creepy stuff, but her being like, no, mommy, I want to play with my ghost best friend there. It's like, if I had been like that with my mom, I don't want to go outside. I want to play with this demon. My mom wouldn't have taken it. There's times where like freaking, she's young, pick her up and take her away. But whatever, she does get a little frustrating. But all that being said, the first 2/3 where it's trying to be serious, yeah, they just don't work because you see so much. And we will get to a big goofy over-the-top ending. There is a bunch of lore, and I guess I'm glad that they did get all the lore out before the series ended for a while. But it's sort of like, hey, this stuff that was vaguely alluded to, let's explain who Toby is, let's open up the book of Revelations, let's, talk about the entirety of their plan. It does get to be a lot. And, they do a big opening, a big ending, we're going to try to vanquish him, and it is, if anyone believed when you get to the end, if anyone believed that was actual footage, that would be hilarious. But it does get kind of goofy and kind of fun towards the end, so there is something to like with this movie. And like I said, I did enjoy the house, and I did enjoy the Christmas atmosphere. And the callbacks to part 3 were kind of nice, even though it's nowhere near as good as part 3. Overall, there is some to like here, but it definitely just went too far, got too silly, and wasn't great. If it was its own thing and they amped up the cheese even farther, then it could have worked. But yeah, I can see why this is the movie that ended Paranormal for a while. But again, as I said, I will cover 7 hopefully pretty soon, and I hope it's good, because 7 is the only one I haven't seen yet, and I wanted to do this whole rewatch going into it, so fingers crossed for Next of Kin. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Paranormal Activity playlist, where you can see my reviews of the past entries. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.